So yeah, many thanks for attending this evening's presentation. This is actually our kind of second webinar in our series, We Mean Business. What we're actually going to be discussing this evening is for you guys to actually know your customer and really what they like about your competitors. For those that actually attended probably last week, we actually had a really kind of good session about what we're going to be talking this evening with Simon Lazarus from the Better Business Group. So just want to say I'm going to be doing the majority of certainly the presentation side of it, and also we're going to be hearing from Simon. He'll be kind of introducing himself and what it is that they do. I just want to put a bit of a face to the voice. I'm the group sales manager here at HBXL. I've actually been with HBXL for the last 12 years, and certainly the estimating software is very kind of tried and trusted, and we have thousands of users across the UK actually using our software, benefiting from all the lovely kind of features that it offers. And we'll be kind of going through a little bit of the software later on in the presentation. Simon's going to kind of introduce himself, so I'm going to hand over to Simon. Just bear with me one sec while I give him control, and Simon should be able to introduce himself from here.
Thank you very much, Mark. Evening, all of you. Thanks for spending the time to listen to us this evening. My name's Simon Lazarus. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's my picture. Not as much hair as Mark, as you can see. I set up the Better Business Group in 1995 with a guy called Mark Siegel. One of our subsidiaries is the Accreditors Register. We were the first company in Europe, actually, to provide continual monitoring to builders. For the past 30 years, I've been helping builders like you make more money. We work with you on a day-by-day basis to win more work and to charge more, on average 15 to 20% more. In a large part of the UK, we provide high-value, pre-qualified leads for builders to quote on. Firstly, I'd like to say that we've been working with HBXL for the past 15 years. We monitor over 600 builders and we follow every quote they do. We analyse what our successful and expensive builders do, and we use this information to help less established builders improve. Without a shadow of a doubt, the most profitable builders' jobs that we see coming through are those that are won on the back of HBXL quotes. I've personally spoken to over 10,000 builders, and the Better Business Group has surveyed hundreds of thousands of homeowners. We asked them why they chose or rejected a particular builder, and I think you'll be surprised by what we found. We'll have a look at some of the key reasons why you win or lose jobs. The Better Business Group monitors every quote our members do. We speak to the customers and we survey them. And in addition, we've given out hundreds of millions of pounds worth of leads to our builders on which we track the progress live. I know you're all concerned by being undercut by cheaper builders, but the reality, as you can see on the screen, actually 6.09% of all the quotes we followed in 2018 didn't use our builder because they said he was too expensive. Unbelievably, yes, just 6%. By contrast, when we asked the builders why they lost those jobs, 80% of them told us that they lost the job because they were too expensive. When they don't want to use you, the client will always tell you it's because you're too expensive, because it's non-confrontational. So what are the reasons customers gave us for choosing an alternative builder? Surprisingly, too cheap. Unbelievably, 3% of customers told us you were too cheap and they didn't think you'd do the job correctly for the money that you quoted. A big one is that you took too long to do the quote and it wasn't detailed enough. This is why HBXL is so important and why we endorse them so highly. Another one, you didn't seem interested or invested enough in the project. Your van was a mess. You didn't impress them with your knowledge and professionalism. You didn't inspire enough confidence and trust compared to the other guy. To win more work and charge more, you need to A, forget about your cheap competitors, and B, look at what your expensive competitors are doing and be more like them. So in practice, what do you need to do? You will never outsell the cowboys. All their skill and expertise is in convincing the customer to use them. They're not looking to build a business like you are. If they don't con someone this week, they don't eat next week. We both know the job can't be done for the money they're quoting. What you have to do is outperform them. So how do you outperform the cowboys? You outperform them by proving that you're better in every way. Brilliant looking and detailed quotes sent promptly, showing your knowledge and experience, health and safety policy that you can present to them, providing proof of your insurance cover. Appearances do matter. A clean vehicle and smart attire go a long way. Follow them up. Make the client feel important. The Better Business Group can push you up the pecking order. We can provide true and proper ratings on every aspect of your business. We write to and phone every one of your clients to explain how we monitor you. We explain the protection they have through our mediation procedures. Most importantly, we check out your competitors free of charge. If they're quoting cheap, the background check is almost always really, really bad. We find lots of outstanding county court judgments. They're losing substantial amounts of money. They have a history of going bust, or even the company name doesn't exist. If you're working in a specific area, we get to know who your competitors are and how to win the jobs against them. No one wants to employ a problem builder. They're looking for someone who's reliable and trustworthy. Your job is to show them that you are that guy. If you do this, they'll want to use you. They'll pay your price, they'll work to your terms and conditions of contract, they'll pay you according to your payment schedule. I'm going to talk in quite a lot more detail about this later, but in the meantime, I'll pass you back to Mark. Cheers, Mark.
Thanks for that, Simon. All very good, good information. Just the obviously, some of you guys kind of came into to this a little bit later. We were actually going to throw up, and we want this to be interactive and get kind of feedback from you guys. One of the questions we were actually going to ask, I'm just going to run a poll. I'm going to launch that on screen. Now, you guys can answer one of the following. So the poll is actually asking, on your last job rejection, what was the reason the actual customer gave you? Was it 1, you were too expensive? Was it 2, you were too cheap? 3, did you actually take too long to actually get them a quote? And number 4, you didn't actually come across professional. Any kind of feedback that they've kind of given you on your, obviously, your kind of last job rejection? What was it that the actual customer gave you? So yeah, just clicky little buttons and stuff there, and I'll just throw up the actual findings in just a second. Okay, so 100% voted. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share the actual findings. So out of all our guests this evening, 75% of you said you were too expensive. So it really kind of enforces what Simon was saying at the top of the presentation. Any kind of feedback from you at this stage, Simon?
It's exactly what I expected to hear, actually. They always tell you you're too expensive because I have an argument with you, but that's not the true reason in a lot of cases, I'm sure. Yeah.
25% of you took too long to get them a quote. So hopefully this is where I'm going to kind of come into it, and what we do as a company and as a business with the actual software. So I'm going to go back to our presentation. So getting the cost right. Firstly, get a sound understanding of your actual costs. Too many builders that we probably hear, especially when they inquire into the software, don't really kind of know what the actual cost of a job is, what they're tending to do. And it's a very kind of, I guess it's probably a bit of an old-fashioned kind of way to do a quote, is doing a cost per square meter. Unfortunately, that doesn't really kind of give you the whole idea and the whole kind of facts and figures of the job. One thing that is certainly kind of proven with our software, when you're able to estimate the complete breakdown and cost of the job, you know exactly what the customer's getting. The customer knows exactly what they're getting as well. So it's getting a sound understanding of the actual costs. As I said, by using EstimatorXpress and the calculators that we've kind of developed inside it, you can actually price everything, and we mean everything. The things that I can show, and some of you guys, if you kind of use the software or are just looking at the moment from looking at the list, the software will actually estimate down to the nails to actually fix the skirting. I mean, we're kind of talking down to the kind of the zero and the pence. It really does allow for everything in the job. The quote, which is then kind of presented, and again, coming back to our little poll, the quote will also set you apart from other firms. The detail that you can put on the quotes, you can put as much detail on there or as little detail. Is completely down to you, but it's the professional kind of presentation that you're going to offer. Your company logo is going to be on there. Your company details are going to be on there. Your terms and conditions are going to be on there, and things that are going to be itemized and customers actually ask for are going to be on there as well. So everything is then kind of itemized. I guess what's the difference between an estimate and what it is that you quote? Well, we kind of think of the estimate as the cost to you of the actual building work. So the kind of the brass tacks, the kind of bricks, the blocks, the sand, cement, everything that you're going to be putting into the estimate. The quote is what you will actually then kind of charge the client. So on the quote is going to be your kind of profit markup. It's going to include all the wastage. It's going to include all the item costs, and it's also going to include the VAT. So there is no kind of argument when it comes to this is the actual cost of the actual project itself, with all the kind of charges and all the extras, even down to one thing the software will allow for is inflation. So if you're estimating for a job that's 2 or 3 months down the line, you can put an inflation percentage on the estimate. So that's not going to come out your profit margin. That's going to come out the customer's pocket. They're actually paying for any kind of future material rises, and you can kind of allow for that in the quote itself. So I'm just going to have a quick look at EstimatorXpress. We're doing this a little bit differently than we do it normal. I'm not actually going to go into a live kind of side of it. I'm just going to give you guys a bit of a flavour of what the software can allow for. So what we're actually going to do is going to do a bit of a kind of a quick estimate on this little kind of lean-to extension with a couple of windows and some bifold doors. Now the size of the extension is going to be a 4x7, so 28 square meters. It's going to height of the walls is 2.5, and the pitch of the roof is around about 30 degrees. Now, I guess the question is, if you did a rough calculation, how much do you think you would actually kind of charge for this job? So just going into the software, one of our kind of features we kind of introduced last year was our kind of quick quotes feature. So this is actually going to give you some job templates to use. We can fill in the information of the estimate very, very quickly. We can put in the customer's details, very importantly as well, for the quotation when it comes out, so it's nice and professional. It's all kind of formatted, it's all kind of filled in for you. The only thing that you need to do at this stage is putting in the actual customer's details here. And as I said, the other important parts, and what Simon's going to be talking about in just a moment, is about the kind of markup and the profit that you're looking to make on this job, so you know, it's actually going to make you some money. As I said as well, we can also put the inflation in there as well, so I can put a 2% cover on that in case materials actually go up by the time we start estimating. Now with Quick Quote, we do have some set templates. I'm going to pick the template that looks at the lean-to single story extension. I can change the outward kind of finish on there if I want to do brick, block, or even stone. And once we kind of pick the template, we would then adjust the width of the extension, the length of the extension by my 4 meters and 7. I got my cavity wall depths in there at 1 meter down. We've got the height of the wall. I can change 2.5 meters. And as I said, I can also change the pitch of the roof to 30 degrees. So I'm putting in the information on the job, and the software is actually then going to start calculating. We said it was going to be brick and block. I'm just going to adjust here on the width of the walls. Going to make them 300 by 100, and that's pretty much the walls done. We can press complete, and then we can move on to the next section, which is going to be the floor. I can change the makeup of the floor as well, from a ground bearing floor to a ground bearing and insulated and reinforced. I can adjust the thickness of my slab. I can do a nice kind of screed finish on top of that as well. And again, if I want to change how that's going to be, and then we can press complete. My roof is going to be a cut roof, but I do have the option of choosing a truss as well if I want to, and I can then decide on whether or not I'm going up to the rafters or I'm going up to a nice kind of simple flat ceiling. Again, that's all then done. If we then go into adding doors, we can link into our partner Crystal Direct, and we can put in a door width. We can do that to 3.3 meters wide. We can choose a variety of colors and finishes on the doors as well. We're just going to do a nice simple white one, and we can also decide on how it's going to be hinged. We've got the cost of the door there, 2,250, or we can choose the 2,271. We can select the door. We can also select the lintel that's going to go in there, and we can also select the cavity closure system that the Crystal Direct give us. What we would then do is actually put in how many doors we need. We only need one bifold in there. Press complete, and then I can move on to the windows. And the same we do on the windows. We select the type of window that we want. We can select the style. So if the customer's got a specific style they want us to use, and again, this could all be put onto the quotation as well for us. We can pick the U value. We can pick the cost. Select the window. Select the color. Again, select the lintel. So just repeating what we did on the doors, and also the cavity closer on there as well. As soon as that's done, we select how many windows we actually want. We're going to put 2 in this one, and then press complete. All the windows and doors are done. So we've pretty much done the kind of structure. I can now do some internal estimating. I can make this room quite specific. I can designate it to a family room. I can put the length of the room. I can put the width of the room, and it's going to pick up the height from my estimate. And I can add a group of electrical items into the job as a family room. So based on that size of that room, what the software is going to allow for is a couple of ceiling roses. I can change up how many light switches I want. I can change up how many wall lights as well as any kind of electrical sockets. If we need to add an extra one in there, we can do, and a TV point as well for the nice kind of big plasma flat screen TV. If we want to do the plumbing elements, again, just selecting a family room group, and then what that will do is automatically start putting in my gas pipes, pop in the radiator as well very, very quickly, and all the components that go into the radiator. If I don't want the gas fire, I can take it out. And then pretty much, we're pretty much done on that. We can click on the quick quote button to create the actual quotes. And then you'll see there the software is now starting to automatically price that up very, very quickly. So we've got 13 items we're actually estimating with a cost there. And this is all kind of excluding VAT and profit at this stage. We've got a price in there of 28,571 and 51 pence. So once that's then done, the software will then produce a schedule of works for you, breaking down all your kind of build phases, how long the job's going to take. And again, very powerful piece of information for the customer. You can be sat down with them. You can say to them, right, this is how long the job's likely to take. These are the areas that we're actually going to not be here because the plastering needs to dry for a week before any of the kind of fixes come in. And you can give them an idea of how long the job's going to take. So it's about being professional and presenting yourself as a very kind of conscious builder who wants to be informative with the client. Things that are going to be very important to you is your kind of output. Now on this screen, we can actually look at the item costs, 27,323. You'll see there as well, the software is actually then calculating your wastage as well. We're obviously going to waste materials on the job. So we're allowing for around about 12 and a half, £1,250 for wastage. Total cost to you, 28,571. And the important part there is we can actually then calculate how much we're actually looking to make on the job. So we've got about £8,500 there with the 30% markup. So the column on the right-hand side is a sum of total, including profit, but it is actually excluding any VAT at this stage. So again, you've got a very quick report. You can see if this job's actually going to be profitable in the first instance. Also as well, to schedule materials, you've got a report that will tell you when you need to buy your materials and how much and when you need to actually buy them. So you've got all these kind of information coming off. And the most important part is getting the actual quotation. So I guess if you're not getting the quote out quick enough, this will actually produce you this quote at a click of a button with everything detailed, everything broken down, all the build phases, all the costs, excluding VAT, all the fixes. And when you get to the very, very end, it will then give a total cost, including the VAT, to the customer that they can accept on that, and they can get a copy, and it's got your terms and conditions on there as well. So what we were actually estimating there, for those that maybe did a quick calculation at the top of the demonstration, we were probably estimating around about £1,400 per square metre. So I speak to a lot of builders, and they're probably, some of them based on the job, are probably quoting around about £1,500 to £1,600, depending on the job. So just to give you an idea, the software will kind of estimate to a degree in the same fashion, but it's doing it a lot more accurately, and it's doing it a lot faster than probably what you are. So that's obviously the end of my demonstration. So I'm going to hand you back over to Simon, and he's going to finish off on his side of the presentation. Over to you, Simon.
Thanks, Mark. Very interesting. Okay, so can you really charge more? To be clear, this is not about deceiving your customers. This is about charging what you are worth. On average, builders charge an extra 15 to 20% more without help, and they win on average 13% more of their quotes. So yes, you can charge more. Absolutely, you can. Every job you've done, they could have used a cheaper builder, but they paid more for you. You probably know builders that are charging more than you, so people will pay higher prices. So what can you do? You need to show confidence. You know you're worth the price that you want to charge. Choose the right customers. Your job is to prove you're worth a difference. Yes, there are loads of cheap quotes out there. It's quite common to find some idiot quoting below the cost of materials. I'm sure you've come across someone similar yourself. The point is, we both know the job can't be done for the price quoted, so it never ends well for the client if they use them. Your problem is that these cheap builders are brilliant at point of sale. They look and sound better than you. They have great websites, smart vans, loads of false references on the rating websites. They're also very cheap, so people are obviously tempted. You're losing out to these cowboys. You need to keep your team busy, or they'll go and work for someone else. So what you do, inevitably, you slide your price down to the level that keeps your diary full. But does this really help your business? There's a problem with low pricing. You get the job, you do it well, but you get recommended as being brilliant and reasonably priced. A year later, the client recommends you to a friend and tells them what he paid. 3 years later, the daughter wants a similar job and wants to pay the same as her dad did. You become very busy. Your suppliers are happy, your subbies are happy. You're actually making lower profits each year with inflation, so you take an extra job to make up the shortfall. We call this cycle the recommendation rut, and it's really, really common in the building industry. You guys have got a hard job. You do a full day's work in all weather conditions. After a day's work, you go and visit new clients, then you get home and you work on your quotes, and you do this 6 or 7 days a week. We regularly get manual copy quotes emailed to us at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I think, come the end of the week, how accurate can those prices possibly be? You've had no sleep all week, and tomorrow you're going to go and work on a potentially dangerous site. About half my builders actually are divorced. They have no private life. In addition, your backs go and your knees go. It's not an easy industry. And the reality, you guys are not charging what you're worth. You know it, but amazingly, your clients know it as well. So how did you all end up like this? When you put your price in, the customer always tell you they've had a cheaper quote. They really want to use you. Can you please match the cheaper guy? When they don't use you, they always tell you it's because you're too expensive. And at least half those people are lying to you. We've given out £625 million worth of leads for builders to quote on. Our builders aren't cheap, but as I said earlier, In 2018, only 6.09% of customers said they didn't use our builders because they were too expensive. In 2017, it was actually 6.21%. And since 2003, it's been 8.51%. So it's changing dramatically. And interestingly, around 3% of clients, as I said before, told us they ruled out our builder because they thought he was too cheap and they didn't think he could do the job correctly for the money that he was charging. In almost every case, though, they still told the builder he was too expensive. So when that builder then quoted a similar job in the future, he's tempted to price even cheaper. Before we work with builders, we survey their past customers on every aspect of their business and staff. And in 2018, unbelievably, 67% of clients told us the main reason they chose the builder was because he was recommended and cheap. And in 2017, it was 52%. So in a time of boom, when you should be earning really good money, this price problem is getting much worse. We get surveys back saying he was too old or he was too young, he had tattoos, I don't trust people with beards, he had bad breath, I didn't want him in my house for 6 months, he was 6'6" tall and I felt intimidated. We had one that said, I didn't trust this guy at all. The first thing he did was go upstairs and take loads of pictures of where the stairs were going to go for my loft conversion. He didn't ask my permission, and for all I knew, he was photographing my knicker drawer. And in the end, I paid £8,000 more for somebody I felt safer with. There are two big failure reasons nowadays. One, the quote wasn't detailed enough, and two, it took too long to come. And that's why HP Excel is so necessary and why we endorse them so much. And my message to you guys is that most of you are looking the wrong way completely. You'll understandably focus on your cheap competitors and how to win jobs against them. Hopefully I've shown you that you can't run a profitable business by lowering your price. You just end up working for people that are looking to pay below the market value. They don't have any money put aside for unforeseens. They don't want to pay for any extras. If you do get the job and you do it well, you end up in a recommendation rut and build lower profits into your business for the future. What you should be doing is looking completely in the other direction. You all know builders that are more expensive than you. Most of them don't do a better job than you. And a lot of them just sub out the work so the quality is variable. These expensive builders often have an office and staff and other overheads that you don't have. So they have to charge 15 to 20% more than you, but they still win work. What you should be asking yourself is, what do I need to make people want to use me at the higher prices other builders are able to charge? The building business is not about filling the diary. It's all about working for the right customer at the right price. If you do that, you have the money to do the job properly. You can pay guys a little extra, so they're always available when you need them. You yourself can earn proper money. There's some money left over a pension and profits for the business. There's also enough margin for you to come off the tools and pay someone to do the work you were doing on site. Or you can start putting money aside for your own developments. So, I've lost it off screen, Mark. Hang on, bear with me, sorry. So how do you break the cycle? What you need to do is obtain leads with no previous price history. Prove that you're worth paying more for. Make good profits on the job. Get recommended for the quality of your work and not your price. Make good profits on future business. To change your business and to make this happen, you need to understand what your customers are thinking and what your competitors are doing. And the Better Business Group can help you find this out. Are you cheap or are you too expensive? Are you professional or not? If you don't understand why you're winning and losing jobs, you cannot move your business forwards. As a valued client of HBXL, the Better Business Group will offer all of you a free business review. We can review your company, including giving you feedback on your last 6 jobs. We'll do an in-depth survey about every aspect of the job, why they chose you, your price compared to other builders, how good or bad a job did you do, what they thought of you and your staff and so on. Would they use you again? In addition, we're happy to give you 1 hour free business mentoring to understand how you quote and what to charge. We'll go through the results of the survey with you. We'll show you what our successful and expensive builders are doing, and we'll compare how you're currently working. The review will give you an independent overview of your business, and it will form a template for taking the business forwards. It will help you define what your profit margin should be. You can program this new margin into EstimatorXpress, and it will add it to all the quotes. You'll have a much better understanding of what clients really think of you. It will highlight the changes that you need to make to improve the business. If you want to take things further, we can work proactively with you on every one of your own quotes. Using our systems, you'll charge 15 to 20% more and convert around 13% more of your own quotes into business. We'll also give you continual feedback and mentoring. In a large part of the UK, we also provide you with quality leads to quote on. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this interesting, and I look forward to any questions you might have at the end. And in the meantime, I'll pass you back to Mark.
Thanks for that, Simon. All very kind of interesting stuff. I think we did actually have a bit of a quick poll again. Just want to kind of get everyone's how much profit you're actually kind of putting on yourself at this stage. So I'm just going to throw up another poll. As I said, feel free to kind of fill it in, but it's how much profit do you put on your estimates? Is it kind of like a set lump sum that you pretty much kind of do every single time? Is it 10 to 20%? Is it 20 to 30%? Or is it 30% plus? Or believe it or not, I do speak to some builders and they don't know how much profit they actually put on. Some of them don't even put any on at all. And that was a bit of a kind of a bit of an eye opener, a bit of a shock to me, really. So yeah, go ahead, click on what you feel. It's all personal, so we're not going to be sharing this information with anybody else, but just want to get a bit of an idea of what you guys are kind of putting on top. Just waiting on a couple more and we should be done. Okay, so here we go. Got 100% voted, so I'm going to close that and just kind of pop that up on screen. As I said, we're not sharing anybody's information, just the results. So we've got 33% were 10 to 20. 50% of you are probably putting about 20 to 30% on top. Nobody's 30% plus, and we have about 17% who put I don't know. So certainly all the advice that Simon's kind of going through and the things that Better Business Group actually do is certainly kind of help you maintain those margins and also increase them as well, and how best to kind of facilitate that with your customers. And that's what these guys will be offering. So I would certainly kind of take advantage of the offer we've got tonight. So I'm just going to shut that one down. So we will probably kind of coming to the end. But I kind of guess the next steps for you guys, for those that don't have the software, are just kind of looking at it. We actually do book in personal demonstrations one-to-one over the internet. Some of you might have attended on EstimatorXpress. We're quite happy to spend a good half an hour to an hour going through the software a little bit more kind of in detail. All the kind of features. I mean, I only kind of scratched the surface this evening on what we were doing, and we were obviously just doing an extension. But the software does fold out to new builds, various kind of shapes and sizes, lots of extensions, renovation work, loft conversions, anything that's certainly kind of domestic build. The software will actually estimate for you. And it's not just the estimate, it's also what you kind of get out of it as well. It will also do payment schedules for you, invoicing, as well as the lots of kind of the smaller ends of the estimate. What we also want to do as well, and certainly what we encourage you guys to be doing on your next steps, is arranging this hour with Simon, a free business mentor and review with a Better Business Group. As Simon's already mentioned, they will look at your last 6 customers and give you some really kind of good feedback about that. And we've certainly from the last webinar, those that attended have certainly kind of taken Simon up on the on that conversation. Jot our details down. I'll leave that up on screen for a second, but we will be in touch. For those, we have got your details. We will kind of follow up. And anybody who wants to speak to Simon, I will be passing you your details to Simon for him to kind of get in touch and have a conversation. Not just Simon, but Mark as well. So we will be in touch with their details. I just want to say thank you very much for this evening. What we're actually going to now have is a bit of a kind of a Q&A. So we're just going to keep certainly the kind of lines open, really. I think we've got a couple of questions anyway, which I'll kind of have a look at. But for those that haven't used the GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting software before, there is a little kind of question box on the control panel for GoToMeeting. It might have kind of hidden itself because you're all on, but you should have a little orange arrow in the kind of corner of your screen. If you click on it, it will open up the GoToMeeting panel, and you can use the kind of the question box to fire away. So Simon, probably going to be a couple of questions.
Okay.
One of the questions, I mean, it's something that we always kind of suggest to the builder to kind of certainly use. In the software, it is actually hidden, but would you recommend actually saying prices have increased due to inflation, etc.? I mean, I know it's something, it is a feature in the software which is all kind of hidden in with the costs, doesn't kind of come out on anywhere. But would you be upfront with your customer and say about it kind of covers any kind of ongoing inflation?
Yes, I mean, the important thing is when they're thinking of having the job done, if it's an immediate start, then it's not relevant. But if it's a job you're pricing for the future, then they have to be aware that if they don't make a quick decision and pay you a deposit, then the price may well rise. Just while I'm talking, that percentage markup was really quite interesting, because I think all of you should be quoting at least 30% margin, because these jobs never run to timescale. There's always something unforeseen, or there's a few little freebies that you throw away. You need to be aiming to make at least 20% clear margin after you paid all the cost of materials, all the cost of your subbies, your wages, the overhead for the business, 20% clear profit for the business. And by the looks of it, not many of you are doing that. And I know that my builders do. So it is achievable. I think certainly all those the low percentage box should phone me and have a chat, and we'll discuss what you're doing and how maybe you can improve things. Thanks, Mark.
Excellent. Also, another question from Jazz, who I've how you doing, Jazz? Good evening. Who I've kind of been speaking to recently. How do you actually compete with other similar prices or price quotes? I guess the question is when it kind of comes to being competitive, or they're given very kind of similar quotes. How do you think you should kind of compete with other prices and other builders?
Okay, I find it really interesting. We recommend 3 builders on the leads that I give out, and almost never do they take my cheapest builder. Almost always it's the middle builder or the most expensive. So a large part of this is you. You need to sell yourself a point of sale. You need to look keen on the job. You need to look professional, trustworthy, reliable, interested actually. This job is not about casting yourself wide. You need to select the customers you really want to be working for, and then you need to give them 110%. You cannot be complacent in this current climate. There's too many cowboys off all these websites, Rated People, Check a Trade, Trust a Trader, My Builder, My Hammer. There's loads of them out there. These people, the customers, are trawling over the web. They're getting loads of quotes. They're knocking people in and out. So I gave you some of the stupid reasons they gave to us. They're throwing people out for the most stupid of reasons. You need to be the last man standing in the shortlist. This is your aim when you put the quote in. When you put your price in, nobody's going to turn around and say, that's brilliant, that's much cheaper than I thought. When can you start, Jazz? They're always going to be getting other prices. So what you need to do is aim to get through to the next round. So there's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with somebody else. They throw them out. You keep moving forward to the shortlist. Then it's not just about the price, because they've chosen you because they think you're really right for them. They've got a good rapport with you. You're knowledgeable. You're talking their language. You're professional. You've got a nice detailed quote. There's no wiggle room for you to come back and charge them more for extras. This is how you win these jobs. It's by being an individual, by dealing with them personally and professionally, I beg your pardon. And you will win these jobs at a premium price. Most of you, from what I saw on that pricing, could certainly be charging 20% more than you are now. And with a bit of help, it's not difficult to do. The thing that is difficult to do is to do it with your current client base, because they know how cheaply you've done it before for their friends and relatives. So you need some new inquiries, not people that are trawling over the web, that you can charge the right price for. If you use HP Excel software, if you use our help, work with us, proper terms of additional contract, proper payment terms, The professional people, the people that are looking for a really good job, they'll respect you for it. They will want to use you. They will pay your price and your terms. And this is what this business is all about in the long term. You cannot be a successful building business just trying to win jobs on price or look over your shoulder what other people are charging. Hopefully that answers your question a bit more.
No, that is very, it's a good answer. Got another couple of questions here. One of our attendees this evening has an old van. Would it be better to turn up in his own kind of personal car, I imagine, or should he just get a new van?
I don't think that's the most important thing. I think just don't turn up and complete rusty shitty, to be honest with you. You need to show that you're running a proper business here. So some people will like the fact that you're a one-man band and you're personally hands-on in the business, you're old school. Other sorts of customers, perhaps maybe the bigger jobs, they're looking for a more professional outfit. They want people that are geared up with proper equipment, proper vans, they've got a sizable business. They want to know that there's some money behind you. They need to know that you can finance a job properly. They need to know that if there's a problem on the job, you're likely to still be in business in a couple of years to put those problems right. And also, you can have some money behind you to pay to put that job right. The main way we get people jobs is we credit check their competitors. They're almost always a disaster. My successful business, they're making good money. We show them their credit checks as well. They can see there's some asset behind them, so they've got confidence, they know what they're doing, and if things should go pear-shaped, there's some recourse for them. And these jobs that you want to be working for, the customers you want to be working for and the type of jobs you want to be doing, they're professional people, they've got money, they have the facilities to do these background checks on you themselves, and a large proportion of them will be doing it, but you don't realise it at the moment. They'll tell you that they're not using it because you're too expensive, but they will have a look at your accounts and find you've only been in business 2 minutes, or you're not making any money, or you're loss making, and that's the true reason they're not using you, but you'll never know that. So the van and the car, whatever it is not so important. Having it reasonably tidy and professional looking, that's far more important. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Would you recommend to your builders that you use, Simon, that they kind of charge for a deposit up front?
Absolutely, you should. In fact, a lot of my guys now, we encourage them, if you want to use some of my builders, say in July this year, they want £2,500 plus VAT, 3,000 quid non-refundable deposit now to reserve the date in the diary, whether or not they choose to use you. All my builders, they charge between 20 and 25% deposits, which they get 2 weeks before the job starts. They get fortnightly payments on the job, not linked to any valuation. The first payment is either when they start the job or a week later, not at stages on the job. The final payment is 5% or £1,000, no more. No retention, no penalty clause. And you're all thinking that can't possibly be done, but I can promise you it is. On virtually every single job that I have going through my books, that's what happens.
Excellent, thanks for that. And I think he kind of following on to that as well. I think you might have just answered a couple of those on that, Simon. Jazz was also asking about how does he kind of stay ahead on kind of cash flow, asking customers to kind of pay a little bit more cash flow in order to kind of buy materials.
Okay, I don't mind how much I talk about this because it's absolutely crucial to your business. Under no circumstances should you at any stage be putting your hand in your pocket to subsidise these people. Once you're subsidising a client, they've got a hold over you. You can't go to Tesco's, buy 3 carrier bags of food and pay a couple of weeks later if you like the meal. You know, I don't understand this industry and the way a lot of you guys work, to be honest with you. All the advice I get over the web from Dominic and people like this is don't pay builders up front. Well, it's ridiculous. You're running a professional business here. You're not there to subsidise them. I've got a builder that joined me recently. He's done 3 jobs in a street. He had no contract. He had no deposit up front. His last payment was 20% on the job, and he only put 10% margin on the job. So he was working for months on these sites, hoping they were going to pay him a load of money when they didn't need him at all, actually. And even at that stage, he was still out of pocket for being there. So my view is you don't subsidise them at all. He then got an inquiry from a 4th customer after he joined me. We followed it through, and the guy said, I just don't understand what's happened to his business. He's now asking me for a 25% deposit. He wants a contract that's all in his favour, not in mine. And I don't understand why he's changed his business. And I said, well, he's changed his business because he's joined me. We're here to help him make sure he makes money. He's probably going to make 15% at the end of the job after a few unforeseens. He's not there to subsidise you. You need to make sure you're paying him ahead. You've got to pay his business overhead. You've got to pay his guys and his profit for the job as it runs along. And his final payment is what covers his profit for the business. And the guy did it. You know, none of his neighbours did it, but he paid my guy 25% up front. He signed the contract, which was quite harsh. We give you a harsh contract to use. And he won the job. And that builder now will never go back. And now he's seen it can be done. And once you guys see it can be done, you'll move the business forward and you'll wonder why you never did it before. All right?
Yeah.
You've asked quite a few questions, Jazz. Perhaps you should phone me perhaps tomorrow in the office and we'll have a long chat and talk about how you're working currently. Same with anybody else that's interested.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
No worries. Also as well, some of the features within the software, there's lots of reports, certainly kind of cost analysis reports. There is a kind of a cash flow report. It will show you the growing cash flow. It will be then linked to kind of build phases. Obviously, there is a feature in the software which is a stage payment calculator. So if the customer is kind of looking for stage payments, you can either bill on certain kind of periods, or you can bill either at the start or end of each build phase. And obviously, kind of just doing that at the start of the build phase, and also as well making sure it's all then wrapped in your terms and conditions, that nothing ever gets really kind of done until you've got money in the bank, etc. So they're the ones who are going to be kind of holding up the site, not you. So as Simon says, it should be coming out of your pocket. You should be they need to be the ones that have got the money there to kind of pay for the work that you're doing. So yeah, just to kind of reiterate that, there are certainly kind of features in the software that kind of gives you that information first and foremost. Some more questions coming in here, Simon.
Far away. Okay.
Yeah. I think this is actually one for me. Is there a costing function in EstimatorXpress for tidying up the job kind of afterwards? Certainly, it is an estimating kind of tool. It's certainly going to kind of give you an idea of what the upfront costs are, the kind of how much the job's going to cost, all the kind of breakdown. What you can do with the software is you can kind of take those values out of the software. So if you are kind of then kind of relating that to actual costs as it kind of goes on, and you've got accounting software, I know it's all kind of changing this year with all the kind of digital accounting and everything else that you guys probably need to start thinking about as well. So you can kind of take that information, use it to compare against actual. There is also a feature in the software. It's not widely used, but you can use it. So if you are having to kind of change anything halfway through, you can do kind of variation quotations, especially if they've asked for a slightly kind of different bifold door or window or a different kind of slate tile. So you can then say, right, well, that's fine. We can use that, but we are going to re-quote you on that. There's a formatted kind of part of the quotation that you can then do on variations. So if you're obviously not going to do it for free, and if it's cost more money, then they need to kind of pay it. So there are a couple of kind of features in there which we'll certainly kind of have a look at. Also, another question: am I losing out by not charging for the actual estimate? Which is a good question, and it's something that we kind of get quite often actually when we're kind of demonstrating. What would be your suggestion on that one, Simon? Would you charge the customer for doing the estimate?
I think in this current climate you can't, in all honesty, because it's so easy to get loads of quotes over the web. I don't know any builders of mine that charge for quotes. In all honesty, I think the most important thing is to select the clients you want to work for, give them a really good professional quote, build a rapport, show that you've got knowledge and expertise, make some suggestions how they can do things perhaps slightly differently. And that way, with a bit of help from people like myself, you will win the jobs. I don't think that you'll be able to realistically charge for estimates in this current climate, honestly.
Yeah. One of the things that we kind of say to builders when they're looking at the software is how much is it costing you to kind of put an estimate together? If you've got your own kind of how much it would cost you to put an estimate for a couple of days, if not a week, then that's obviously kind of money you're kind of losing, really. But what we can do with the software is we can actually reduce that cost, so it doesn't cost as much to put the estimate together, because obviously you pay for the software, there's a return on investment. But if you're then able to kind of put 2 or 3 estimates out by the time you've done one, then that's in itself is kind of reducing cost. so it doesn't become so labour intensive. It doesn't become such an expensive thing to do, putting a price together for a week, and then you actually lose out on the job itself, and you've kind of spent that week putting that together. So there are certainly kind of cost implications, I think, doing that. But I know I kind of look around, and a lot of the builder sites that I look at, they're very much kind of free quote. So yeah, you'd be kind of up against that one. Another one from Jazz as well. Should I let my customers know my source of suppliers?
I don't think you need to do that unless it's a specialist item. There's no reason for them to know. It's a very interesting point, actually. The biggest reason you builders lose jobs is you overquote on the job. You don't overquote for the actual job itself, but what you do is you overquote compared to these cheaper builders. So we very easily saw there how it was to do a standard electrical spec for a property. The problem you have is nobody nowadays gives you a proper second fix spec for your electrics, your gas, your sanitary ware, your tiles, your flooring. None of that they specify properly by make, by quantity. So what you do, you estimate what you think he needs. Now, if I'm a cowboy, my PC sums, my estimated cost for all that stuff are going to be a fraction of your costs. So automatically, they go to the back page of your quote, you're going to be 20% cheaper before you start. So they're going to be 20% cheaper, I beg your pardon, before you start anywhere, so they're tempted to go with them. So what you should do is split out all the things they haven't specified and give a range of prices on them, not just a PC sum. And if you list them all out with a range of prices, tell them you'll be happy to give them a definite price when they know what they want, or get alternative quotes for them. Again, you're showing expertise, the fact you've looked at it properly, you're not trying to hoodwink them, which is what clients want. Okay. The other thing about charging for these quotes is you have to look at where your source of inquiries are coming from. If you're getting inquiries off of these websites that I mentioned earlier, my builders that quote on these jobs properly, they convert about 1 out of 10 or even 1 out of 20 of those into business, because they're not proper leads from proper customers that are wanting to spend the right money. The leads I give out, the average conversion rate is 25% by the value of what my builders quote on. So give them £1 million worth of leads, they convert about £250,000 worth. So those type of leads, it's worth spending the time and the effort to get it right, because you can see you're likely to get a return on it. What you won't do is just trawl yourself wide over the web, quote on everything that you see, and hope that you're going to earn some money out of it, because the time that you waste, as Mark said, seeing these people, doing the quotes, going back to them, backwards and forwards, re-quoting, you're never going to make a return out of it. If you're only putting 10 or 15 or 20% margin on when you win the jobs, it's just not worthwhile for the business. You look at what you make at the end of the year, you've probably been better off sitting at home and taking one decent job, honestly. I see it all the time. So this business is about being specific. Look at your target client base. You need to make sure you're perfect for that sort of client. With our help, we'll help you win more of them. We'll help you charge more. We'll help you get the right payment terms. And then you make money, and when they recommend you, you make money. All right?
Yeah. I mean, just to kind of, there was a bit of a story. We're down here in Bristol with the HBXL, and one of the up-and-coming building companies that we were kind of dealing with. We thought they were doing particularly well, and all the signs were they were doing a lot of work around Bristol and stuff. And then one Friday afternoon, I believe they went into administration, because I think they were actually owed around about £1 million from customers and stuff not paying them. And they've gone to the wall, and they were a company that we thought were pretty sound. I mean, they had a lot of work, and I think, I don't know, maybe kind of bit off a little bit too much than they could chew, and they were actually owed too much money, and they couldn't bring it all back in. So, as Simon says, do a job that you know you're going to get, and don't go crazy.
Interestingly, years ago, we used to have what we called a Millionaires Club. When somebody did £1 million worth of work from the leads we give them in a year, you may not know, I don't know where you guys are based, we took them to the Grove in Watford, a very expensive place. And every one of those, for 3 years, every one of those went bust, because those were the guys that were chasing turnover. They didn't listen to us about the profit margins. They were just chasing turnover. In the end, almost all of them went bust. Whereas I've got guys that are doing a fraction of those turnovers, that are making a substantial amount of money, because they're working for the right customers with the right jobs for the right money they know they can get a good return on. And that's what you guys need to do. If you look at how much you've earned over the last year and how many hours you've spent of your private time seeing people, doing quotes, working in all weathers on sites. It's not an easy business. You need to earn on what you're doing. Otherwise, you might as well get a job with somebody, honestly. And it can be done.
Most definitely. So I think we've run out of questions, really. So I think it's coming up to 8 o'clock, so I think we're going to probably wrap up now. But I just want to say big thank you for giving us the hour. I know you guys are really, really busy, as Simon says. I mean, everybody's kind of rushing around. I guess the reason why you're kind of having an attendance this evening is because, things in the business you want to change. You want to work a bit smarter, a lot more efficient, and it's about efficiency, really. And working smarter in this game. So thank you for giving up an hours of your time this evening to watch this. We do record it, so we will send it out, so you can watch it back if you need to. And just at the end, when we kind of close tonight, either a little web page will come up and there'll be a little survey. Just want to know how well we did. But there's also going to be a couple of questions as well. Do you want to be contacted by Simon? And do you want to have another look at or a fresh look at the software? If it's yes, and I think it's going to be yes, because of some of the questions you guys have been coming out with tonight, there's certainly something that you want to fix. And as I said, Simon's going to offer an hour of his time, and he's also going to look at your last 6 customers and give you guys solid real-time feedback. And I think it will help your business kind of move forward. So thank you for attending. What about yourself, Simon? Just want to sign off?
Yeah, that was it was one of the better webinars we've done, actually. Lots of interesting questions.
Yeah,
and I'd like to thank everybody for paying attention. Give me a shout. I'm happy to give you some of my time. We're not pushy. I won't try and twist your arm into joining anything or paying anything. But it sounds from what we've had from the questions that some of you do need a bit of help. So
yes.
I'm in the office tomorrow. Give me a shout.
Excellent.
Thanks a lot for your time.
All right. Have a good evening, guys, and we'll definitely speak soon. Okay. Thanks, Simon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.